Hey guys, Rollout here with another Bionicle Let's Build. Yes, for real, this is happening. I've been doing Bottleman reviews recently, and I thought I'd take a moment and give you guys some Bionicle content because I know it will be appreciated. We're building the original 03 Makuta, Makuti the Bionic Man himself. I've been planning on doing this Let's Build for a long time, and my plans for it have changed over the years. Initially, I was going to build Makuta and Takutanuva and use that as an outlet to talk about the Bionicle Netflix show, if you can remember that. And then when Bionicle got canceled, for the second time, I was going to use these Let's Builds to discuss that. And then I just kind of lost interest in doing any of that, and it never really happened. But I've had these sets in storage, unbuilt, for years now. And since the last time I did a Bionicle Let's Build, it was Karzani, which was, years ago at this point, like I said, there's been quite a lot to talk about in terms of Bionicle. There's lots of interesting things going on that I do sort of want to discuss as we sit down and build some bonks. I am going to be using these original instructions here. These are the instructions from my original set I got back in the day. I do want to talk about that a little bit as well. And we're going to be building it in complete chaos, as it should be done. To give you that real nostalgic 10-year-old in 2003 feel. Dumping out all the pieces onto the floor and just going at it, no matter how inconvenient and impractical it might be. I haven't done this in a while, so we're in it for the long haul, I guess. It's also very cold in my office, so we are also fighting the elements. Bear with me. So anyway, I want to talk about, while I start to put the beginnings of this set together, the fact that I fondly remember getting this set in 2003. I remember every year my grandparents would give me some Christmas money, and the day after Christmas, we would go out and spend it at Toys R Us. And I distinctly remember choosing between either Makuta and Takutanuva or the big Armada Optimus Prime. And my mom convinced me to get the Lego sets because I could rebuild them into whatever I wanted and there would be more play value there. Turns out she was right, because that Armada Optimus Prime toy is not very good, and these sets are very important to me. So good call there. Now, the reason I'm even building this at all, the reason I even have extras of these sets to build, I've had them from 2003, like it's not like I'm just getting these sets for the first time now and experiencing them like I did with, Puku and Gukko back in the day. I did those Let's Builds as well. Sets that I never got as a kid. I had this thought several years ago to buy multiples of Makuta and Takutanuva in order to have Takutanuva, the combiner model, built separately. Now, to be honest with you, I don't know why I thought of doing that, because I have always thought that Takutanuva is a completely awful combiner model. I remember building it back in the day, like immediately after I got these guys, so that I could show my friends, so that I could show off that I'd built this sweet, epic combiner model that I saw in Lego magazine and was in the movie. And we were all very, very underwhelmed by it. And so I immediately took it apart. And over the years, I have built Takutanuva several times, and every single time I build it, I am quite disappointed. And I think to myself, why? Why did I do this again? So I don't know why I bought multiples of these, because it's a bad model, and I don't know if I want to take up shelf space with it. I think that maybe I was thinking that, well, if I buy multiples and I build Takutanuva one last time, I will never have to take apart Takutanuva and Makuta ever again, because I'll have Takutanuva built. Because Takutanuva is not worth taking apart your Takutanuva and Makuta. The sets that make up that combiner model are so much better than what it's worth. So there you go. There's my 2 cents. Hot take. Very controversial opinion, I know. Actually, I don't think so. I think a lot of people are of the opinion that Takutanuva is pretty awful. And people who say otherwise are probably just very nostalgic for it. But who am I to say? All right, so we've got his mechanism built here for the most part. Very loose mechanism. I remember this obviously being very heavy, more heavy than it's worth. And that's one of the big problems with Takutanuva as a combiner model, is it adds even more weight to what is essentially a rebuild of Makuta's upper body. And it doesn't actually give this function any additional friction, so it flops around and it's a mess. Also, his arms are bad, and he looks like a worse Makuta. This is the Let's Bully Takutanuva hour. All right, where are more of these guys? I need 2 more. I'm pretty sure everything's here. I did not double check beforehand. Again, I've had these in a bag for years at this point, waiting to be built, waiting for the time to be right. And I suppose now is as good a time as any. Now that I've made my grand and glorious return to this channel. A lot of people, you know, every time I take a break for any significant amount of time, people are like, where have you been? Or like, oh, I thought you died or quit. And like, I'm always making content on one of my 2 channels. This is my 2nd channel. I have a main channel where I build Lego MOCs. And I'm always doing something on one of them. We're setting this off to the side and working on his legs now. Or maybe, no, this is his chest. He uses the same parts on his chest as his legs. These Rakshi backs. I think this is actually his chest. Either way. If you've been wondering where I've been for the last 2 years or so, I've been making content on my first channel, IX Rollout IX. Google Lego Transformers. You'll find me. Sorry, bumped the camera there. But with this spiritual revival of Beat-em-on that has been coming out recently called Bottleman, I've decided to do those reviews, and since I'm actively making content on this channel again, let's do some Bionicle, because people want to see Bionicle stuff from me. Why didn't I ever do the Bionicle 2016 reviews, you might be asking yourself? Like I said, after Bionicle got canceled the 2nd time, to be frank, I just lost interest. I had such high hopes and ambitions for what I was going to do with those reviews, and you know where the franchise would go after the 2nd year, that when it was cut short, all of the effort I'd put into writing scripts up until that point, I just didn't think was worth it, and I had no interest anymore. And because like I had put so much time and effort into my, you know, Tahu and Akir and Onua and Terak reviews, I'd gotten pretty much that far in writing them. I'd put in so much effort into them, and I wanted them to top my Bionicle 2015 reviews is really the thing. Like, I was really proud of those reviews at the time, and I really wanted to kind of outdo them in a way. I had this idea for like making them kind of narrative, like telling a story about like the Uniters meeting their creatures and combining with them, like telling that story visually through my constructive review of the set itself. That's something I had high hopes and ambitions for, and I kind of, going forward, had hoped to do that with 2003 reviews as well. But when G2 got canceled, like, I just, to be completely honest, and I kind of was lying to myself for a while about how I honestly felt about this, but I just felt like that was too much effort to put into a dying franchise. You know, something that isn't current, something that, you know, doesn't have new releases coming out that I can continue to be excited about. That was just a lot of effort to put into something like that. And honestly, that's why I kind of stopped doing reviews altogether for a little while, whether it be Beat 'em On or Bionicle. It's because, like, Beat 'em On got canceled, Bionicle got canceled, again, everything I had made content on for a while, like including smaller stuff like LBX, like none of it was current anymore. It all faded away, and like, it was just depressing, to be honest. I mean, I guess I could have found a new toy line. I know a lot of people wanted me to do Bakugan videos when that got a reboot, and like, I've never been into Bakugan. Like, I never understood it. I never jumped on that train. So I apologize to anybody who's a fan of that wanted me to do that sort of content. But yeah, so I basically retreated back to my original channel doing Lego creations, which I had neglected for a long time as I did content over on this channel. And that's kind of the trend. Like, right now I'm sort of taking a break on that channel just because I burned myself out slightly doing weekly content for several months over there. And I'm taking a break right now to kind of rejuvenate creatively. And I took Bottleman coming out as like an opportunity to do that. It's like, oh, hey, there's something I can, you know, make new relevant content on over on my second channel. And also I'm feeling a little, you know, creatively burned out doing weekly content. So I'm going to take a break and focus on Bottleman stuff for a little bit. And I do plan on going back to my main channel and resuming weekly content there soon. And for the first time ever, I'm actually going to try doing weekly content over there as I continue to work on Bottleman reviews over here. We'll see how that goes. My work ethic on that sort of thing in that sort of situation has notoriously been very poor, but hey, again, the fact that like Bottleman is a currently running franchise that is supposedly doing very well in Japan, it gives me hope. Although, you know, I've been hopeful of things before and been disappointed. I guess that's a good segue to talk about the fact that Bionicle is once again in the news recently. Channeling my inner Johnny Carson there, I guess. Bionicle is in the news recently. That's a joke for all the boomers, by the way. Shout out to Johnny Carson. So Lego did a poll for the 90th anniversary of the company. And they're gonna make a 90th anniversary Lego set based on their most popular theme. And so there is this list of like classic themes over the years that aren't current, of course. And Bionicle is on the list, among other things like Classic Space and Castle and Pirates and all that sort of stuff. Naturally, Bionicle won. And, you could make the argument, I guess, that it's because they split up all of the castle themes and all of the space themes into like multiple subsections, which confused everyone who wanted to vote for those. And Bionicle is just like, it's pretty clear what it is. It's Bionicle. It's one thing, and a lot of people want it, and it won that initial poll. Now, the way they've worded this competition, the way they've worded this poll makes it very clear that they're going to choose from the top 3 most popular themes. And so realistically, I don't think Bionicle has much of a chance. I mean, look, if you're going to represent 90 years of Lego in one set, if it's Bionicle, it would make so many Lego fans furious, and I completely understand that. Look, it would be funny as a massive fan of Bionicle. Oh, that's wrong. As a massive fan of Bionicle, who also primarily builds mocks with Lego System. I am pretty impartial to either. But it would be absolutely hilarious if the Lego set that is supposed to encapsulate 90 years of the company is a Bionicle set. It would infuriate so many people. And it would infuriate even more people if it ended up being made of Lego System, like if it were a Bionicle set that were Lego System, because there's also like this huge subset of the Bionicle community that just like will not accept Bionicle as system. Like there have been many ideas proposed over the years of making it a theme more like Ninjago. Not officially, not in any official capacity. There was an ideas campaign that reached the required amount of votes very easily, because it's very clear at this point that the fans still want Bionicle back in some way, shape, or form. And this Lego Ideas set was Lego System. It was like a reimagined playset that was, for all intents and purposes, for the Bionicle 20th anniversary, which just happened and was, promptly ignored by Lego, of course, naturally. Despite the fact that, we got a 20th anniversary Lego Star Wars set. We got, all sorts of Lego anniversary sets. The 10-year anniversary of Ninjago is getting recognition. I guess those are, currently running themes, so it's a little bit different, but I can still be salty, of course. Maybe unjustly, but salty nonetheless. But, yeah, the short of the matter is, I guess, I don't think Bionicle has a chance of winning the final poll, because once the top 3 are recognized, they're going to do a second poll to see which of those top 3 is the actual victor, because, let's say Classic Space does get into top 3, anybody who voted for, their favorite subset of Classic Space or their favorite subset of Lego Castle, they can just vote for Lego Castle or Lego Space if they get into the top 3, and then that could very well beat Bionicle in the polls. Hold on, did I do this right? Yes, of course I did. I'm a genius! I didn't screw up a Lego set for children! But if, Bionicle does win both the popular, top 3 vote and the final vote, and then, promptly continues to not become the representatory set, which it won't, at the very least we'll have gained Lego's attention for the 3rd time now. First with the whole Lego Ideas thing, and now with this. I guess the first time was Bionicle G2, and then you know, they expected us to market that instead of marketing it themselves, and then they shot it in the foot with kind of like poor distribution and marketing decisions, and that's like a whole can of worms. There's also some tinfoil hat theories about that involving Disney that I could get into, but let's not. Let's just ignore that a whole side of the argument. But look, my expectations are extremely low at this point. I would love for Bionicle to come back in any sort of capacity. Make it a system theme. I don't care. A lot of people will care. I understand that, but like I don't care. It would be cool. Honestly, as like a collector's Technic theme, it would be very cool. Like, they're still making Lego Technic sets. A lot of people would be upset if it were a system theme, because look at it from the perspective of that, like, if you build exclusively with Bionicle parts, like if you are a Bionicle mockist, you don't have a whole lot of use for Lego system parts. Like, you don't have a whole lot of use for a bunch of Lego system pieces, for a bunch of bricks, you know? I mean, you could probably make use of them, but by and large, if you exclusively are a fan of Bionicle and not Lego at large, you're probably not going to buy that set to reuse, you know, for reusability. You might buy it as, you know, for out of principle as a fan of Bionicle, but that's it. Like, but there's an entire market of people who just buy these sets to use for pieces. If they were to release a big collector's Technic set in the same fashion as like the gigantic, you know, Technic race cars or construction vehicles that they're making still, like, at the very least, you're going to get this gigantic, expensive parts pack of beams and axles and Technic connectors and things like that. As a Bionicle mockist, you'll be able to use that. I think that's a pretty good idea, personally, because it will satisfy all sorts of Bionicle fans on multiple levels. And I don't really understand how, like, there's clearly a lot of Bionicle fans out there who want Bionicle. Let me take a moment to pause here because I built an entire leg, and now I've got to build a second one, and I forgot to build the second one concurrently, so I've got to go back and redo that whole thing again. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Like, obviously, there is demand for Bionicle. We reached that Lego Ideas thresholds immediately, like insanely fast, and then got denied in the review process. There are fans of Bionicle working at Lego, who are Lego designers right now. And again, we are proving that Bionicle is in demand on some level with this new popularity poll. So, like, there's clear demand for it. I don't know what Lego is thinking as far as why they're being stingy with, you know, at least, like, giving us one Lego set, one anniversary Lego set. You know, budgetary reasons, business, all of that, you know, I don't fully understand, and I completely admit that. But it seems to me that if they released like one big Technic robot a year, just as like a commemorative, this is for Bionicle collectors sort of thing, the way they do for race cars, like this is for the race car collectors, this is for the big chungus construction vehicle collectors, you know, like I those seem like, from my perspective at least, those seem like fairly niche markets, and I can't imagine that the Bionicle market is any less niche. So if they give us like a gigantic, primarily Lego Technic Tahoe statue, you know, like, That would be awesome. I would love that, and it would satisfy so many people. And I can't help but feel that it is within the realm of possibility for Lego. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. All right, I am currently looking for a funny little pin that has gone underneath the instructions here. Here it is. All right. What else? Christian Faber, he's been funny. His Instagram posts have been a lark over the past year or so. And again, given Bionicle fans hope that is potentially unwarranted, Christian Faber, one of the original creators and idea men behind Bionicle, teased some sort of spiritual reimagining of Bionicle that may or may not have the Bionicle name, probably would not. I believe he actually went to Lego in some way, shape, or form and pitched this idea and very likely got rejected. Again, another instance where we kind of grabbed Lego's attention on some level and they ignored us. But I don't know. I think he stopped with the COVID-19 pandemic and all of that, which is a mess. Obviously, I think that's been given a little less attention by Christian Faber and potentially by fans as well. So it really kind of went nowhere, that one. But it was a neat idea while it lasted, that maybe Christian Faber would kind of create his own Bionicle under a different name with a similar setting, but a similar world or level of storytelling. Because obviously, at the end of the day, I feel like G2, while I love those sets, like I still strongly advocate that, like, G2 started strong. I was very hopeful in what we first saw with, like, the Legend animation and all of the sets. I think are pretty great. I mean, I've always liked CCBS. I collected Hero Factory throughout its entire run. I like that system despite how simple it looks on the surface. So, like, I'm a little biased in that way, I guess, but I still think that G2 has some really, really good sets. And I think, again, at the end of the day, the big failing of G2 is that they aimed it towards a much younger audience while expecting the fans of the old Bionicle to spread the word about it. You know, like, it felt on some level like they were not making this product for the older fans of Bionicle, but they expected us to buy it anyway, and then kind of spread that word to the people it was actually marketed for, instead of just straight up marketing it with a more prevalent and a stronger marketing campaign towards its actual intended audience. Again, all of this is things I don't fully understand and have no place speaking objectively about. But it seemed misguided. Then there was this whole thing about, like, them reallocating, like, advertising budget that year to building a new factory, and then they decided to not cancel Ninjago at the last moment, so a lot of the advertising budget, I feel, went towards that. And then there was also competition with Disney because they were pushing the Lego Star Wars construction, which kind of, I feel, directly competed with Bionicle G2. Like, all of these things domino affected. Is that? Nah, whatever. I'm not even going to get into semantics. But there was a domino effect that led to Bionicle G2 getting shot in the foot. It's all very unfortunate. And again, I feel like a lot of it was just misguided and mishandled, and it doesn't necessarily mean, and it never necessarily meant, that Bionicle could never be successful. But because of that failure, it seems like LEGO is hesitant to acknowledge Bionicle. And, you know, there's an entire subset of the at-large LEGO community that resents Bionicle for being very, very different in a lot of ways. And so that, like, that plays into it as well, of course. All right, we got the second leg built. Big Stompy, Big Stompy. All right, now on to the arms. So anyway, yeah, Faber being funny. Let's see, who else is being funny? Greg Farsty, he's certainly being funny. We got the TTV canonization contests happening several years too late, in my opinion. Look, it's a neat idea, I guess. Is this the right size, Axel? I don't know. Look, I understand the sentiment of wanting, like, BS01 wiki articles for characters that never got them. So their TTV, the Three Virtues, their forum, their YouTube channel, they're holding all these contests to canonize the appearance of characters like Toa Helrix and Artaka. Those are the ones that have happened so far. And look, they've turned out all right. I am okay with the appearances we've gotten. These officially, and I use that in a very loose way, officially canonized appearances. They've turned out all right. I'm okay with the way they look. But, like, in my opinion, this is all very unnecessary. And I'm not super satisfied with the way that, like, they're using custom Bionicle masks and things, because they had unique masks in the story, because, like, the actually official, character creation Bionicle contests, they all used, various actual Lego pieces for the masks. Or just straight up, like, there are so many canon Dark Hunters and Rahi Beasts and things like that like use Evoki Mask of Lights for their mask, but like in canon it's not actually that mask, of course. And there are various avenues the story has taken to explain that, like, masks don't need to actually look a certain way to have a certain power, and like that is an official part of the canon. And so personally, I feel like while it is very creative and it's kind of cool, I guess, to show Artaka and Helrix as having unique masks, because they did have unique masks and powers in canon. Like, I like the idea of being able to build whatever the canon appearance of these characters looks like myself, and now to represent that officially canon appearance, I guess, on my shelf, I would have to get a 3D printed mask. I think there's no problem, personally, having Helrix look like she has a Picari, and then just say, oh, well, her mask of psychometry just looks like a Picari, but it isn't one. That's perfectly acceptable to me. I understand there are other opinions on the matter, and I'm not the one running these contests. There's a train going by. Give me a moment. All right, sorry, that was just very distracting. I wanted to let that pass before I continued talking. What were we talking about? Something about contests, masks. I understand that a lot of people are completely okay with having 3D printed masks like on their shelf. I mean, I advocated the 3D printed mask of ultimate power, which is something we never got, and was something that was ostensibly promised to us at the beginning of G2, and so for a moment there, it's something I was interested in owning, but something about just like 3D printed masks, after a certain point, I just did not like having that on my shelf anymore. It just didn't feel right to me. I don't know. I'm just being honest here. I would prefer it to be Lego, whether it were accurate or not. I actually did. I don't know if you missed it like a year or two ago. I don't think it's been 2 years. Maybe it has. I don't know. Where has time gone? I did build a Lego system mask of ultimate power for my Titan Makuta. I also did instructions for that. That's over on my main channel. If you want to see that. I think I put this together slightly wrong. I think this goes like this. Yes. And now I have that on display on my shelf, and like I said, it feels better to me because it's Lego. I don't know. It's the same way I don't like stickers on things. I personally just don't like 3D printed masks and would prefer not to use them. Now in terms of Hellrix, the canonized Hellrix model, the submitted model does use a Picari. So I could build it and say oh hey look, here's what the canonized model looks like. It may be inaccurate to the art, but it's still valid on some level. But Artaka uses the submitted model uses a 3D printed mask, so it's a little harder for me to justify just using the G2 mask of creation or something. It's not accurate to either the canonized art or the original submitted model. So I don't know. On top of that, I have seen people build the models that won these contests. And they're a little structurally wonky in certain places. As I understand it, Hellrix's arms are weirdly built. And Artaka has trouble standing up. And so I don't know. Again, it's that feeling where they don't feel right. And I mean, granted, a lot of the Rahi beasts and Dark Hunters from back in the day had a lot of the same problems. They didn't feel like sets, obviously. They had design flaws that made them super either unstable, or they had techniques that just made them feel wonky. So that's always been an aspect of these canonized mock contests. So it's not too bad, I guess, but still, it makes it less desirable for me to build them myself. Look, at this point, here's another big reason where I'm not super interested in these contests, and I don't pay too much attention to them outside of just seeing who wins. Look, if I see a model on the forums that I really, really like, yeah, I'll give it a vote. I'll support it. But I am so I don't get excited for these contests, and it's because at this point, so many years after Bionicle has been canceled twice, I don't feel like any of this is necessary, and the fact that in current year, we are putting so much weight on the word of Greg Farshtey, is annoying to me. We're dragging poor old Greg Farshtey from his family potluck or whatever to, canonize Bionicle still. And it just... it feels bad. Like, I'm sure he's fine with it. I'm sure he is happy, he is pleasing fans. But he wrote for Bionicle over a decade ago at this point, and the fact that despite the fact that he has not published something officially through Lego in so long, literally anything he says about anything, people write it, they etch it in stone into canon, and I've always found that annoying. I am of the mind, especially more recently, that at this point, if Lego did not officially publish it in a book or on their website in an actual, like I said, official capacity, I don't much consider it canon. That's just how I feel about it. And that's why I said canon in the loosest sense earlier. Because to me, not only is the Bionicle story so scattered across multimedia in a way that, again, the intention of the Legend of Bionicle was that it was going to be this multimedia thing, and the conceit is that it's a spoken word tale, right? And because of that, between the video games, the movies, the comics, the books, there are inconsistencies, and that's because, from person to person, as this spoken word tale has been told, there are differences, it's like the Greek mythologies in that way. And so, saying one thing or another is resolutely canon to begin with is annoying to me. But on top of that, you then have things being canonized by the writer for Bionicle from 10 years ago, because it is on some level a world he created, and he has some authority about it. But if it wasn't officially published by Lego, for example, the Rahi Beasts and Dark Hunter books, those were contests. Those were contests in a similar fashion to these TTV contests that are happening now, But they were officially sanctioned by Lego. And so I feel like they are inherently more valid. And despite the fact that, some of those models were pretty bad. They were designed by, 7-year-olds. I feel like they have more weight to them. They have more to do with what I would consider actual canon, if we can even say that is a concept worth humoring at all, than these TTV contests. And that is just how I feel. So, all we have to do is add Makuta's funny Evoky hands, his funny little silver Evoky claws. We'll give him his big old Coley staff. I'm running out of room here. This guy's big. He's a big boy. He's honestly a very small Titan compared to things like, Brutaka and things from the later years. But hey, this is his time to shine. Hold on a minute. I think you should hold it like this, actually. Let's actually slide these up so we can hold it a little more naturally. And finally, we'll give him his Kraken. Kraken, whatever you want to pronounce it as. The Mask of Shadows. There he is. There is Makuta. Look, guys, I did it! I built a Bionicle set! All these years late! Here he is. I'm actually going to cut away so I can get this guy a little bit more in frame. I'll talk about some more stuff. We'll close this video out. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. That's great. It's gonna be great. So I think this went pretty well. I talked about most of the things I wanted to discuss, but there are a few other things I didn't get to. Shout out to the Quest for Matanui fan game that's being made. It's this incredible looking, like open world Dark Souls looking Bionicle game that like Lego has officially recognized and is letting happen instead of suing it into the ground, which is super awesome. Once again, another instance where we've gained their attention. We can't keep being ignored for so long. Let's see, what else? Shout out to The Fallen, all of the content creators who quit because of G2's cancellation. RIP in peace, play Stippling. Y'all thought I might have been dead too. My death was greatly exaggerated. You could have been Makuta bones. Could have been, but I'm not. If you have anything to respond to in this video over all of the topics that I've touched on, feel free to in the comments. I'll read all of them because honestly, at this point, I don't really know what I'm gonna do for my Takutanuva Let's Build, which I plan to do. I've talked about everything I intended to talk about, I think. So if you want me to talk about something else in that Let's Build, let me know in the comments. And maybe if you've got some interesting ideas about any of the topics I've already discussed, I'll respond to them in that Let's Build as well. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I can guarantee that Let's Build soon. Hopefully it doesn't take several years. But it is something, like I said, I do intend to follow up on this video with eventually. I should also address that I would like to do more Bionicle reviews in the future. I just have to find the heart to do it, to be honest. Like, I've got to find that spark again. And look, if I don't want to do Bionicle reviews, I find that I can't force myself to. I want to put out some quality, constructive content that I can be proud of. And in order to do that, I need to put a certain amount of effort into, and to put that amount of effort into something, I need to be passionate about it. And I love Bionicle, but when nothing new is coming out and I can't be super excited about, the novelty of that, it's hard to find the passion. And that's really the reason that I haven't done Bionicle reviews in so long. Look, I'll remain skeptically hopeful on some level that, there will be a 1 in a million chance that we win this 90th anniversary poll and we actually do get some kind of set out of it. If it is Bionicle related, I'll get it, I'll build it, maybe I'll review it. Whoa, let's hold our horses and be realistic. Anyway, until next time, this has been Rollout, signing off.